Right, the question was asked, what is the word address? Did you know there was no legal definition of the word address? Did you know that? Black and white.
Legal act.
There's no legal definition of the word address.
But it does appear on the universal addresses as postcode, etc.
I'll cover that in a minute, right? So when somebody asks you, remember we were talking law of occupation, what's the 3 items of information? Asks you name, rank and number. Oh no, we're not military. So what we do, because we're deemed to be military contractors, they ask for name, title, date of birth or an identifying number. So this it goes back to law of occupation, right? Address. An address is your rank. Okay, that's in military, because I stopped reading legal dictionaries, I go for military and commercial. Your address is either the company where you're based or the military organisation you're part of, yeah? So now under PACE, now this is where it gets real world, Police and Criminal Evidence Act, you're obliged to provide, identify yourself and essentially where you live, right? You're obliged to provide a name, but you're not actually provided to give an address as in 144 Acacia Avenue. All you're required, if you read the Act, is to give the best approximation where you spend most of your time. Read the PACE Act. That's the only piece of legislation that requires you under anti-terrorism laws, under anti-terrorism legislation, to provide name and address and identify yourself. Now, where that comes from is civil law, contract, and common law, contract law. The very first stage, and this is where I have, not fun, I assert my authority, because I don't go along with delusions. And this thing about the corporations, the names, is all very legal, and it all comes from ecclesiastical as well, as the word delusion. It's a delusion. You go into court saying, yeah, I'm Mr. John Smith. You've just proven to the court you're an imbecile. Think of that. You've just said to the court, I'm an imbecile. I think I'm that corporation. Right? So you've got to properly identify yourself. And this isn't just, I read stuff on the net about this now, and I'll check this myself. I'm a guy who prefers to go to the court with bits of paper, not hot air. Hot air disappears, bits of paper don't. When I go into court, I go dum 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 dum. Not a word needs to come from my mouth, right? So when all this stuff, what I do is I'm proactive. I ask questions, lots of questions. What does the word address mean? What does the word name mean? What does that mean? What does this mean? Post. I'm thinking people need to understand is when you're taking these guys on, right, where they've been clever is they're multi-jurisdictional. So you may go for them under the civil or criminal or ecclesiastical or under commercial code or whatever other jurisdictions are out there, or our house's jurisdiction. She's the judge in our house. So there's all these different jurisdictions, and they've got us under all of them. Now we've got to be careful with words, because words can be specific to jurisdiction. Your home, let's call it, I prefer hovel. There's no legal definition of the word hovel, so I use the word hovel. And for example, in court 2 years ago, the judge asked me, started referring to premises in regard to council tax. I had to correct him, it's not a premises, sir. But you see, he's working on the premise, that's premises. What they're doing, and this is where we really get to contract law, right? The very first stage of contract law, regardless of common law, even in trust law, in its own terminology, they must identify you and identify your capacity. Hence, before you can form agreement, you must identify each other. If you don't, if you just accept someone's, there's plenty of case law. If you, Cundy versus Lindsay is a good example, Mitsubishi Shogun versus, I forget what it was now, it's simple case law out there. If you don't identify the other party prior to forming an agreement and it falls apart because of that lack of capacity they had, or lack of identity, you're at fault. You have a duty of care to yourself, to your corporation, to your franchise, never mind about you, to check the capacity and legal identity of everyone who wants to form an agreement with you. If you don't, you are at fault. Remember that, that's important. You can stand there in a court and argue this all day long. You're at fault. The judge will say, well, why didn't you ask? Why didn't you check? So if you can say, like I do check, because 5 years ago I started asking this question, who are you? Where does your authority come from? Who do you think I am? And after 5 years, I've still not had this question answered by any government body. Right? So they cannot be an agreement in place, they can't be an agreement. In trust law, they must identify the objects. This is the 7 tests, right, of trust law. I won't go into deep for that one. But they must identify the object and the subject of the party and the capacity of the individual who's within the trust. They must identify the capacity of them. They haven't done that, so they can't get you under trust law. They can't. What they can do is get you and this is where it gets clever, right? What they're doing every time, when you get a letter on the door, in the front door, right, and it says Mr. John Smith or Mrs. Jane Smith at the top of it, what is that? I stopped reading at that point. What is that? They're offering you a presumption. You guys who study law know this. They're offering you a presumption of identity. You stop reading at that point and you write back and say, you're asking me to make a legal determination, I am that identity, I'm not legally trained. However, the good news is, you're legally trained. You tell me if I'm Mr. John Smith. House?
Question that's not been answered actually in court is it legal to use the legal name? And not one judge or solicitor has answered that question.
Well, I'll explain, I'll talk about it in a minute.
Rob, could it be that within those like 30 seconds to a minute of interaction, oral interaction with the judge, that what you're looking for is a meeting of the minds, of which there can't
No,
be?
that's just because you can't form contract. Meeting of minds is nothing, you can't form contract. You can't have a meeting of minds until you identify each other. Yeah. Anyway, just a bit of information dump here, right? So when you're it's asked to, what's your identity? And we did this in court, right? There's case law from Canada, right? Commonwealth case law. Very difficult to find in the UK because they bury cases in the UK, right? Only barristers in the know will get to find the stuff at the back of the records office, right? But it's case law from Canada, which refers to the allegory title. That might be a new phrase for some people. The word alleged comes from it. Right, so with the chap went to court. He was arguing something to do identity, case law, contract law, but he was arguing identity, and the judge referred to his allegory title. Right, now this is a very important phrase because an allegory is if you say for example there's an event and I write a poem about it, or a song, or a play, or a movie, I write a book. What I've done is I've written an allegory about a fact. The allegory itself is not a fact. The allegory is only a way of, it's an intermediate way of alternatively a proxy, if you like, of presenting that fact. The name that you're given, I don't care about the other stuff in the background, right, because I've destroyed it anyway, but the birth certificate, any connection with me, you sever all ties to that birth certificate and all the crap that goes with it, which I say is not a pot of money, it's a lot of debt, and you're a surety for that debt. So if I want to sever myself from that bloody bond, because I'm bonded servant by agreement. I want to sever myself, it's a debt obligation, there's no money in there. Anyway, so the allegory title, right, we went to court 3 years ago, was it? 3 years ago. And the district judge, who were getting a bit above themselves according to one of the masters in the Crown Courts of Justice, the district judge said, what is your name, to my good lady? Well, I'm surrounded by the boys in blue doing their civic duty. And she said, allegedly, XXX. Accept the name. And the judge at that point said, I've asked you again, you've got to ask 3 times to make it a fact in court, remember. What is your name? Allegedly, blah, 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 blah. So at that point you can see him getting frustrated. He goes, is your name Mrs. blah, 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 blah? And she said, allegedly so. At which point the Justice Clerk said, non-appearance, found against us. What he's done is actually, there's no contract here, it's non-binding, there's no contract here, because what she stated that day is absolutely factually correct. All of us is an allegory title, everything. Now, women, when they got the ladies in the room, when you got when your sisters fought for your emancipation back in the 1920s, you became emancipated. Think of that word, emancipated. What happened was you gained the same status as men. You became legally men. Right? And I got some Darren DAG, he did some work in this one, right? So you became emancipated, right? Same as slaves. When slaves weren't freed. Actually, slaves, and the word freedom will cover as well. Slaves weren't freed. They became, when initially the slaves, under the anti-slavery laws of 1807, right, it said anyone setting foot in British soil is ipso facto free, quote, right? Anyone setting foot in British soil. So all these slaves took over the ships and they all crashed their boats on the shores of British territories around the world, right? Became free. Free is a difficult word, be careful that word free. I'll cover that in a second. But what happened was they became apprentices. So they ceased to become slaves and they were recategorised into apprentices. Right? It's a Freemason thing. And then after a period of time, if they proved themselves as an apprentice, they became a master of their own vessel again. So careful with slaves. When the slavery ended, slaves weren't freed. And the sense that you think about it, slaves were actually turned into apprentices. And how they learned that is because they'd already done it with the Brits here. As non-slaves in Britain, we were already in that same apprentices and masters. Or a good one to go is peasant. A peasant is no master. A peasant's a good word, that's why they avoid using it. A peasant lives in the hovel, has no master. So the two words I do like is peasant and hovel if you look it up. The word freedom. How many people know the definition of the word freedom? We're all after freedom, aren't we? Liberty, it's two words. We're all after freedom and liberty. Do you know the actual definitions of those words? Right. Freedom initially comes from Sanskrit, prayat, right? It comes from northern India area. And it meant beloved one, right? So freedom means domain, literally, translation means domain of the beloved ones. It means you're all allies, there's no enemies. That's what it means, literally translation. You're all allies, there's no enemies, there's no fighting, there's no conflicts, yeah? That's a beautiful thing. Adopted into German, Freiheit, and then into British, or English, freedom. However, City of London pounced on this one, it's an interesting word. What we'll do is we'll create the freedom to do commerce in our territory, our commercial territory. So when you get given a name, what that name is a franchise you've been granted. And this is the key that people really need to look at the word franchise. And franchise, the word frank means free. Right? The Romans invented this. I'm putting a lot out here and it's fast. There's a lot more I could do, but I won't, right? I'll keep it simple. So the word frank, France, is based upon the word free. Right? So freedom is what you're granted, gifted, not granted by City of London, is your permit to freely do your commerce within their trade territory, which was Edward II issued this, one of his edicts, where he created the counties, and the counties were distinct franchise territories. Right? And so franchise law. If you look into legislation.gov and do a search of the word franchise, have fun with this one, right? There's seven pieces of legislation talking about franchises, and the most recent ones are about your European franchise. And if you want your fun, phone up the various government bodies and ask for a copy of the franchise agreement. Want your fun with that one?
Tell about Scotland independence.
The date one. Oh yeah, Scotland did its referendum last year, and I pointed this out to the lads north of the border, and not a lot of them were listening. The name of the piece of legislation creating that referendum, and watch the legislation they're going to create with this referendum in Britain coming up now shortly, the Brexit legislation, right? It was called the Scottish Independence Franchise Act. Right? It's a franchise, like McDonald's rebranding as Burger King, whatever franchises you want to think of, yeah? We are operating a franchise.
Is the word borough a franchise? Because the council all have all...
Boroughs and counties are franchises under one jurisdiction, right? The royal jurisdiction. What they've got now, the regions and the sub-regions, is under a new franchise there, right? The Crown is the master franchisor, City of London's a franchisor, it goes down to the counties, boroughs, and then us. So it's franchisees, sub-franchisees, sub-franchisees, right? And the most awful place to be in any business transaction I can think of other than slavery is being a franchisee or a sub-franchisee. Because the law, what's the law in the franchise? What is the law of a franchise? The agreement between you, the franchise agreement is the law, that's the law. What do you think Acts and Statutes are? They are the franchise agreement between us and the City of London and the Privy Council and the Crown and the Cabinet, who they're on the Crown together. So that is the franchise agreement. Look up franchises, right? And look historically into franchises. The old books tell you more, the new books don't tell you anything. They don't want us knowing this stuff. You have to go into the old books. And Edward II looked at the City of London, how good it was at keeping the peace and raising taxes. So what they did was he made an edict that the whole of England at the time, England and Wales, would be broken up into county franchises. Right? Which franchise there? Do you know you've got a choice? You can choose your franchise there. Right? Have fun with that. What else? Yeah, maritime law and navigation law. 1835, just slightly aside, it was pointed earlier on. There's a canal there, this is a navigation pub. There's tax offices there, there's courts there, county courts there, land registry, all next to a canal, and I've been banging onto this for a couple of years now, guys.
And if you carry on down there, you've got the Crown Court.
All next to the canal. Manchester, they built the big administration building, Justice Administration building, over a canal. It's underground, right? I've looked at all these new courts. It jumped out to me one day, why? I've been to 3 different courts, they're all next to waterways. I'm telling you guys, you have to look up in European law here, well, European what's happening under Agenda 21. They're breaking up the country into regions. To do that, they know they can't just say, we're doing a change, because people will go, oh, and protest and make all that noise that peasants are liable to do, and pitchforks. So what they do is, they change the jurisdiction on us. So you'll find that a lot of these buildings now, certainly City of London, Fleet Street, Strand, these are all maritime, they're all rivers, right? You go into your own town, you have Portland Street, Quay Street, Water Street. Most towns and boroughs, most towns and cities and that will have these, and you'll find in Manchester, Portland Square, Portland House. Where was BBC just moved to in Manchester? Manchester Quays, right? What they've done is, they've changed jurisdiction on us. They've moved us into international jurisdiction, as I've been talking for a while. And what they've done is, it's next to canals. The inland waterways and maritime are different things, right? So there's navigation law, which is inland, and maritime, which is on the main oceans, right? The 1835 Drainage Act says that any tributaries spilling into an inland waterway come under the jurisdiction of an inland waterway. Think of that next time you sit in the toilet. That's how they've got the house under navigation jurisdiction, on top of common law jurisdiction, on top of civil jurisdiction, on top of ecclesiastical jurisdiction. They collect council tax as from poor laws. They've done away with poor laws. The local councils went, well, we want some of that pot. So what they do is they took over authority as guardians to look after the poor, and that's morphed into this mess we've got now, yeah? So we don't know who's in charge of it. So the maritime, we've got the canal here, all these different buildings, administrative buildings, all, and I would argue to the day is long, they're no longer under British jurisdiction. That's why they can't hear the Constitution. That's why they can't hear us as men or women going to these places. They can only hear civil vessels, which are chartered as charter parties, done under franchise. And I'm going into deep here, and this is not really relevant to fighting them, but it's understanding how it's been put together. Once you understand how it's been put together, you see the weaknesses, and the weaknesses are truth. The weaknesses are truth. Women, I've done this one up in the ladies in the room. I've done this one up in Ashton. You won your emancipation, so why do you still call yourself Mrs.? Mrs. belongs to Mr. Mr. apostrophe S. Mr. is the lowest rank in board of vessel ship. That's why they call us Mr. And then you understand how the army works. Is there any ex-army guys here, ladies in the room? Right. If you're a lower rank and you screw up, your officer gets out the arse kicked. Right? Because you're a lower rank, you're deemed to be cattle, stupid, dumb, not responsible for your own actions. That's why they was marching around in squares and boxes and stuff, yeah? And wearing these uniforms and stuff, because we're not deemed to be able to look after ourselves. It's the officers, the commissioned officers, are the only ones that can be held responsible for their actions at that level, sort of thing. You know, they're deemed to be honourable creatures. Lower ranks are not deemed to be honourable. So what they do is, when you're a commissioned officer, you can be held responsible for your debts and your obligations, liabilities. So what they've done under maritime law is they've made us all second lieutenants on board the good ship United Kingdom, because it's given the title of Mr. You all know maritime sailors, Mr. You've seen all that on TV.
The older TV person.
Mr. Bligh, you know.
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. is a military or naval rank. The lowest an officer, second lieutenant, is called Mr. in the army. Okay. So you accept Mr. as cross-jurisdictional. It's a grey word because it crosses different jurisdictions. Master, some people would argue you want to become a master of your own vessel, master of your own property. Fine, you can go down wherever route you want to go down there. I'm just explaining the Mr. thing. So when women got their emancipation, they all went, yeah, we're now men. Call me Mrs. or Miss. Miss men. Are you married? Now in the army, this is military law, right? If you're married to somebody in the army, as you were, you are the property of him, right? Without him, you cease to exist. Yeah, fact, right? And I've seen this, if you get divorced from a soldier, leave the gate, leaving any money, taxi fare home, leave, go, and your kids take them with you. Mrs. means you belong to the Mr., right? When you got your emancipation, you immediately went back, well, no, actually I do belong to him. Yeah? And if there's no Mr. there, you are deemed to be the king's your Mr. You become under the, that's another story, it's another element of it. On ships, if a baby's born on board a ship, right, the king, he's born under the king's flag, so the king becomes his proxy father. And that look above every hospital in the country who flies flag. you're born, the king is your ultimate father, right? As it was. The king's throne, we've still got a king by us, nobody sitting on it. We've got two thrones, king and queen. And this comes from somebody within the system, by the way, as a king and queen. One's HM, one's Her Majesty. That's, you know, a different area. I know I'm doing an information dump here, but hopefully this will feed some. This is solid research I've done myself, and I've got bits of paper to prove all this. Yeah. Regarding your government bond, 1795, the best book you can buy, other than Grotius's Rights of War and Peace, which is the most important book ever written, bar none. I don't care about your religious books, your nonsense like that. Grotius's Rights of War and Peace, used all written in 1520, 1530 or something. He took away all these different authorities, because at the time people could start wars, but nobody knew how to switch them off. It's quite important to know how to switch a war off. So this chap, Hugo Grotius, who was vilified by the guys in charge at the time, because they made money from war. They didn't want people having the ability to switch war off. So Grotius, he wrote this fantastic book called The Rights of War and Peace. There's two states. We live in a state, we call the United Kingdom a state, yeah? There's two states, war or peace. That's it. Neutrality hasn't existed since 1952. You're either at war or you're at peace. Okay? So Hugo Grotius' Rights of War and Peace is the most important book ever written as far as I'm concerned. Peace, how many people know the keepers of the Queen's peace? Policemen, yeah? Bailiffs, they all act to keep the peace.
Allegedly.
Does anyone know, has anyone heard me talk, do you know where the word peace comes from? It's a shock. Does anyone ever start to guess what peace means?
A temporary cessation of hostilities.
No. Good try though. Anyone else?
Jam sandwich. That's Scotland.
Peace in Scotland, yeah, in the sandwich. Okay. There was a kid in the book of sandwiches. What's a sandwich? Yeah, peace comes from the French, Norman French. England was invaded by Norman France, right? So what they did was they brought the concept of pais. I can't pronounce it. It's P-A-I-S, right?
Bye.
Pai, right? We adopted that as peace, right? What it means is no challenge to the existing power. War is where there's a military challenge to the existing power. That's why there's only two states. A state of a challenge to existing power or no challenge to existing power. So now you know that information. You can read this yourself, you can go back and find this yourself, yeah? Certainly look at military dictionaries, which you can get free in the net. If you get old military dictionaries, they're fascinating reading. You suddenly understand what things mean. So if a policeman's job is to keep the peace, what's his position, what's his role? To stop any challenge to the existing power. It doesn't work for us. Who's the existing power? City of London. His job, and as I said, I was shouting at your court case, I was outside with my white flag under international law, right, claiming neutrality. I'm not a combatant. Was letting people know that these policemen serve the City of London. That's what they do. That's why they have no duty of care to us. There's case laws confirmed that. They have no duty of care to us. And while I wish policemen all the best, the good ones, all the best, yeah, they don't understand their job or who they work for. And I've asked numerous policemen this, and none of them know that they actually serve City of London. The silly toe pattern, you know, a checker pattern police have got in their hats and jackets. Do you know that's a Freemason? When you walk into a Freemason temple, I've never been in one, I refuse to set foot in it. I'd rather step in dog shit and go one of these places, right? I've been asked 3 times to join the Freemasons, and 3 times I've vocally told them to go and fuck off, you know. So I've been blackballed apparently. Excellent, and badge of honour that one. But when you walk in there, the floor is black and white to denote good and evil, bad and, you know, his dichotomy of life, one thing or another. Oh, it's Freemason nonsense, yeah. So when the police, it was a chap called Sillytoe from Glasgow Police.
Not one, it's just an alarm clock.
It's a police officer.
That's what it is. The Sillytoe pattern, we come from Glasgow.
You win! You've said the word police 5 times in a row!
That's just no information, guys.
Can I just stop you there, just quickly with the camera? Black and white, what is that? As above, so below, and the symbol and stuff. Do you believe that that is the state of play of mankind?
They want black and whites, they want dichotomies, they want separations. We are not black and whites, we're not left and right. This, we're talking about division, this is what they do, make us believe there's two extremes to an argument. It's called the Hegelian dialectic, for people who might have been to my meets before, right? Hegelian dialectic is where there's no disagreement, they create one. And what will happen is, I don't good Hegelian dialectic, they use this all the time. It's a debating skill, right? You use it in politics, you use it in the courts. If you're going to court, you need to know Hegelian dialectic. Because what they do is, if they want to swing, whenever we want to negotiate, we'll come to a middle ground, right? So say we want to negotiate, a truth doesn't become a truth in the court until both parties agree the fact, and then it becomes a truth, okay? So at what point, where do they want that truth to lie? Somewhere in the middle, right? So what they'll do, the other side will come in extremely over on that side, and we give ground. So that moves where the agreement was from there over to their side slightly, doesn't it? And they'll go even more extreme and drag it further and further and further over. Because if you're not giving ground, you seem to be dishonourable. So you need to come in from your extreme, and that's why we end up with these, because these people that are doing this at the top understand Hegelian dialectic. That's why they offer these extremes. Nobody in this room is extreme. We don't live at that level. This is a false premise they present as this Hegelian dialectic. We need to see it, understand it, and challenge it whenever we see it. So if somebody comes to extreme with the extreme view, just stand back from it. I'm staying in the middle ground. There's no negotiation here. This is the middle ground. I'm not going to move from it. So the Hegelian dialectic is a skill. It's something you need to be aware of. You can read about it very simply. But essentially it's to form extremes. And the more extreme you are, the more you drag the middle ground over towards you. And that's why we end up with extreme left and extreme right. They don't exist. The media's talking about the extreme right. Now, I was, in the past, I've been involved in certain nationalist outfits, yeah? I'm very patriotic. But the media keeps talking about the far right. I've never met anyone in the UK, and I've met a lot of people who are far right. They don't exist. This is a pure invention. They talk about the far left. Doesn't exist. The far left does not exist. These are things that have been created for us. So anyway, be aware of that Hegelian dialectic. You can take to pieces on that if you know what they're doing, what they're coming at you with. It's basic skills. Just a bit of information dumped there. I hope it's been
Brilliant.
some useful to people. There's more I could do, but I don't want to bore you, okay? So anyway, floors for somebody else. Thanks.
Debt Free TV, in association with GetOutOfDebtFree.org.